Imagine a world where power is no longer defined by oil, coal, or steel. Imagine a world where the very heartbeat of global industry is determined by who controls the secret of energy storage. A world where fortunes rise and fall, not on the stock market, but on the ability to charge a car in minutes and drive it for days. Imagine, for a moment, that this revolution was not born in California, not in Shanghai, not in Berlin, but in Africa. At first, the idea seems absurd. For decades, Africa was dismissed by the great powers as nothing more than a supplier of raw materials. Cobalt from the Congo, graphite from Mozambique, rare earths from South Africa. The minerals that powered the rest of the world's machines. But to invent, to innovate, to lead, that was a role reserved for others. Or so the world believed. But somewhere in the shadows of Kigali, Lagos, Cape Town, whispers began to grow. Whispers of an African battery, one that could outlast, outcharge, and undercut everything the West and East had poured billions into. The whispers started in hushed conversations between university researchers. Then, they began spreading in online forums, through leaked lab results, through rumors carried by students traveling abroad. At first, few paid attention. After all, who would believe that the future of electric mobility might emerge from a place the tech world barely acknowledged? And yet, something extraordinary was happening. A small lab in Rwanda reported tests of a new type of energy cell using graphite sourced locally and a unique mineral composite drawn from African soil. The numbers were staggering. Energy density nearly double that of Tesla's current cells, charging times reduced to under 10 minutes, and a cost structure that slashed prices in half. In Nigeria, a group of students at a community lab began experimenting with plant-based stabilizers that increased battery lifespan. Their findings, posted quietly on obscure websites, caught the attention of underground engineers in Europe and Asia. Meanwhile, in South Africa, a consortium of researchers backed not by corporations, but by local cooperatives tested early prototypes under real-world conditions. And they worked. The first reaction from the global industry was laughter. Impossible, they said. We've spent decades and billions. They've spent pennies. How could they beat us? But laughter soon turned to silence, and silence to fear. For hidden within Tesla's walls, a confidential report circulated. Elon Musk, the man who had staked his empire on being the global leader in batteries, had received word of the African breakthrough. His engineers quietly benchmarked one of the prototypes. The results, according to insiders, left them stunned. The rumors were no longer rumors. This was real. And yet, Musk said nothing. No tweet, no public comment, no acknowledgement. For a man known for his flamboyant announcements, his silence was louder than words. Those close to him say he reacted not with dismissal, but with urgency. Secret meetings were called, plans drawn, engineers dispatched to investigate. Because for the first time in decades, Tesla faced a competitor it could not easily buy, crush, or outspend. The African innovators were not billionaires. They were not corporate-backed juggernauts. They were dreamers, students, scientists, rebels, men and women who had grown tired of Africa being seen only as a supplier of minerals for other people's technology. They wanted Africa to own the technology itself. They worked in small labs with second-hand equipment, often facing power outages, shortages, and sabotage. And yet, against all odds, they succeeded. But success has enemies. The moment news of the breakthrough began to spread, resistance followed. Lobbyists in Europe and America funded think tanks that questioned the safety of these new batteries. Reports warned of unproven African technology being dangerous. Trade groups began whisper campaigns, suggesting environmental risks. In one case, a Nigerian lab reported a mysterious fire that destroyed months of research. A fire investigators suspected was not an accident. In Rwanda, a shipment of equipment critical to scaling production was delayed at customs for months under suspicious circumstances. In South Africa, rumors circulated of corporate spies attempting to buy out researchers before their work went public. But something unexpected happened. Instead of folding, the African teams pushed back. Governments that had long been silent began to take notice. Rwanda announced special funding programs to protect local innovators. Nigeria pledged to build research hubs dedicated to battery technology. Kenya vowed to protect intellectual property from foreign takeover. For once, African leaders realized they were sitting on not just resources, but on the future itself, and the world could not ignore it. In Tokyo, executives at Toyota convened emergency meetings. In Berlin, Volkswagen demanded classified briefings. In Washington, memos circulated through the Department of Energy warning that if Africa's breakthrough held, America's dominance in electric mobility could collapse. And in Palo Alto, Tesla moved into quiet panic. Elon Musk's secret reaction became the talk of Silicon Valley. Would he attempt to acquire the African labs? Would he launch a public smear campaign? Or would he, for the first time, find himself in the position of being outpaced? For the innovators in Africa, this was the turning point. They faced a choice: sell out to the highest bidder and let the technology be absorbed, or fight to keep it African-owned. The decision sent shockwaves across the world. Instead of selling, many chose to share. Open-source communities across Africa began releasing designs and data online, ensuring that no corporation could lock the innovation away. Students held public demonstrations of prototype cells. Grassroots campaigns urged African governments to protect and scale the technology. What began as whispers had become a movement. The backlash intensified. Western corporations launched smear campaigns. Anonymous op-eds declared African batteries a hoax. Some media outlets framed the scientists as dreamers chasing fantasy. But each attack only strengthened the resolve of the innovators. Communities rallied around them, proud to see Africa finally leading instead of following. And something else happened. The public took notice. Videos of African students demonstrating 10-minute charging times went viral online. Social media exploded with debates. Is this real? Is this the end of Tesla? Is Africa about to change the world? For every doubt, more evidence emerged. Leaked reports, independent verifications. Small EV startups in Kenya and Ghana began installing prototype batteries in test vehicles. And they worked. Suddenly, the impossible was undeniable. The consequences were global. Oil markets trembled as the prospect of mass, affordable EV adoption grew closer. Car companies scrambled to renegotiate mineral contracts with African nations. Politicians in Europe and America faced growing pressure as their citizens demanded answers. "Why are we falling behind Africa?" asked one European Parliament member. "How did we let this happen?" For centuries, Africa had been a source of wealth for others. Its minerals extracted, its people overlooked, its potential dismissed. But now, for the first time in modern history, it was Africa leading the charge. Not with raw materials, but with finished, world-changing technology. The old story was crumbling. A new one was being written. And through it all, Elon Musk's secret reaction haunted the narrative. He knew better than anyone that revolutions in technology cannot be stopped. You can fight them, delay them, sabotage them, but once the genie is out of the bottle, there is no putting it back. Tesla had disrupted the auto industry. Now, Africa was disrupting Tesla. The final act of this story is not about batteries alone. It is about dignity, about a continent reclaiming its voice, about young engineers proving that genius knows no borders, about communities showing that innovation does not require billion-dollar labs, but courage, persistence, and vision. And so the world finds itself at a crossroads. Will Africa's breakthrough be co-opted, stolen, or buried? Or will it rise, unstoppable, reshaping the future for all of humanity? That is the question governments, corporations, and citizens now face. But one truth is undeniable. The future of energy, of mobility, of power itself will no longer be written in a single place. It will not belong only to California, or Berlin, or Tokyo. It will be written in Africa. This is not science fiction. This is reality. This is happening now. And it is only the beginning, because in the silence of African nights, in the hum of small labs powered by determination, the next chapter of history is being forged. And as the world watches, as Musk reacts in shadows, a new voice rises to declare, "The future is ours." Not theirs, ours. And the balance of power will never be the same again.